Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and thank you for joining us today. What we're about to discuss is a story of timing, strategy, and a level of battlefield adaptation that is rapidly reshaping modern warfare. In the eastern front of Ukraine, where open plains meet industrial ruins and shattered roads, one particular confrontation shocked analysts around the world. It involved 35 Ukrainian drones, patient, silent, almost invisible in the cold sky, waiting for a moment that would change everything. And it involved North Korean supplied tanks moving into the battlefield for Russia, tanks that had been spoken about in speculation, rumors, and high-level analysis, but no one expected what happened next. The scene begins on a landscape scarred by months of fighting. Fields that once grew wheat are now littered with shell craters. Roads that once carried farm trucks now echo with the heavy clanking of armored tracks. Russia had been trying desperately to replace its massive losses in armored vehicles. Their supply lines from domestic factories were struggling. Sanctions, sabotage, and production limits had all taken a toll. So, in a deal that raised eyebrows and sent shockwaves through the international community, Russia turned to North Korea for tank. Older models but still dangerous in the right conditions. These tanks, large and menacing, were supposed to support Russian assaults and push Ukrainian defenses back. They were meant to restore momentum. Inside Ukraine's defense network, intelligence officers were already tracking shipment routes and suspected deployment areas. Ukrainian surveillance drones, satellite feeds, and ground informants had noticed unusual transport movements days earlier. The Ukrainian command decided that if these tanks were to make an appearance on the battlefield, it could not go unchallenged. But destroying heavy armor traditionally requires artillery, anti-tank missile systems, or air power, all expensive and difficult to position. Instead, Ukraine prepared a different method. A silent fleet of 35 coordinated drones armed with explosives, modified with stabilizers, and controlled by crews that had spent months mastering precision flight under battlefield conditions. The interior of a Ukrainian drone control station looks nothing like one would imagine in a traditional war. No large screens with blinking radars, no loud radio chatter. Instead, it resembles a dimly lit workspace filled with laptops, battery packs, spare parts, wires, and operators sitting in silence wearing headphones. Short verbal confirmations, rapid adjustments, and calm focus. These operators, many young and trained in civilian tech backgrounds, have become some of the most impactful battlefield specialists of the war. When word came that the North Korean tanks were on the move toward a forward attack position, the Ukrainian drone teams were instructed to wait. Not to attack immediately, not to reveal their presence. The drones hovered or stayed hidden on standby. The objective was not to damage a few tanks. It was to eliminate the entire formation once it was deep enough into a vulnerable area. This would not only damage equipment but morale, momentum, and the entire strategic push. The tanks rolled forward in a line accompanied by infantry support vehicles. The crews inside the tanks had little idea what was watching from above. They likely felt confident. The armor was thick. The cannons powerful, and Russia believed that by acquiring foreign armored vehicles, they could patch the holes in their frontline capabilities. But what they didn't account for was the fact that warfare has been evolving faster than political decisions can keep up with. Tanks are powerful when facing infantry, bunkers, or other armored vehicles. But tanks are large, loud, visible, and predictable. Drones, on the other hand, are silent hunters. They fly low, slow, and with deadly precision. The first drone descended from above, nearly invisible against the cloudy sky. It struck the lead tank near the engine compartment, the most vulnerable area. A burst of fire erupted, smoke rising instantly. The tank stopped. The entire column paused for just a moment. But that was all it took. That pause was the exact moment Ukraine had been waiting for. The remaining drones formed into coordinated strike groups. Some attacked the rear of the column to prevent retreat. Others targeted the central vehicles to trap the crews. Within seconds, explosions rippled along the line. For the soldiers inside the tanks, panic and confusion spread quickly. The alarms, the sudden fire, the shockwave. They were being destroyed by enemies they could not see, hear, or target. The infantry escort tried firing into the air, hoping to hit something. But drones are not like aircraft. They are small, fast to maneuver, and carry enough explosive to destroy critical components with a single strike. Some drones did not attack tanks at all. Instead, they targeted fuel storage barrels, ammunition crates strapped to the outside of the vehicles, and exposed communication gear. Secondary explosions tore through the formation. When a single tank carrying ammunition was struck, the resulting detonation shook the ground and sent debris across the field. Plumes of black smoke rose in multiple pillars like dark fingers reaching into the sky. The performance of the drones in this battle demonstrated something military experts have been warning about. The age of uncontested armored dominance is ending. Tanks, which for nearly a century symbolized battlefield power, are now vulnerable to weapons that cost a tiny fraction of their price. A single drone costing a few hundred or a few $1,000s can destroy a vehicle worth millions. And Ukraine has become a global leader in improvising, modifying, and deploying drone fleets at scale. Safety features and guidance systems on the drones allowed operators to maneuver them precisely, even through radio interference attempts. Many drones had been outfitted with automatic flight correction algorithms and fallback routines that ensured they could still complete their attack even under partial jamming. Ukraine's rapid technological adaptation played a critical role. Without it, these drones would have been blind and ineffective, but here they were surgical. After the strike, the battlefield was silent except for the crackling of fires and the distant sound of retreating forces. Ukrainian ground troops moved forward cautiously to document the results. Photos and videos captured burn-out shells of North Korean tanks scattered across the road and fields. The armor plating blistered and blackened. Some turrets blown clean off. The wrecks were unmistakable proof of what had happened. These images spread across social media within hours and the world took notice. The unique selling point of this event was not simply that drones destroyed tanks, because that has been happening throughout the conflict. The significance here was the scale, timing, and strategic value. This was not an accidental engagement. This was a coordinated trap, a planned destruction of an entire armored push before it could achieve anything. And more importantly, it was a direct statement about the future of warfare. Agility, intelligence, and technology outperform raw armor and brute force. The price contrast is staggering. A tank, even an older model like those North Korea provided, still costs hundreds of thousands to millions to transport, maintain, and operate. Meanwhile, the drones that wiped out the formation can be manufactured and deployed at a fraction of that cost. In economic warfare terms, Ukraine achieved a victory that was both tactically decisive and strategically symbolic. It demonstrated how a weaker country in terms of heavy equipment can still outperform a larger military through innovation and adaptability. In conclusion, the destruction of the North Korean tanks by Ukrainian drone teams is more than just a battlefield story. It represents a turning point in military strategy worldwide. Nations are now watching closely, realizing that drone warfare is not the future, it is the present. Those who adapt will shape the battlefield. Those who rely on outdated assumptions will suffer losses they never expected. And for Ukraine, this victory showed once again that courage, creativity, and precision are more powerful than steel alone. The battlefield has changed forever. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more updates. ChatGPT can make mistakes. Check important info.